Greetings everyone, welcome to Spacing Out. I'm Maureen Elsberry.
And I'm Alejandro Rojas. Thanks for joining us.
We're here to get you caught up on the news, so here are some of the space and UFO stories that have made headlines recently.
The Mutual UFO Network has listed a video from Boise, Idaho as one of their top cases from 2013. The video itself is interesting, however what is more interesting is that the UFO was sighted by 3 separate groups of people and all of the reports were very similar.
This sighting took place on the evening of December 24, 2013 at approximately 9:15 p.m. All parties reported the object as being a bright red light. They also say that a second red light appeared to drop down from the first. It moved slowly and then sped off quickly as both objects disappeared.
The witnesses who shot the UFO video are a married couple who say they were driving when they first saw the red light. The male witness wrote in his report, "It caught my eye because I am always looking up for strange lights."
He says his wife recommended they pull over for a better look, so they did. He says they could tell that the object was not moving. The couple decided to rush home to get a camera to record the lights. He told the MUFON investigator that he always keeps his camera charged just in case he sees a UFO.
The witness said they only watched the object for a few seconds before rushing home. Prior to filming, they had seen a small orb drop from below the object. He says they caught a second object dropping from the bright red light on camera.
In the video, a small blinking object can be clearly seen dropping from a larger, brighter one. It moves down, then moves up again before dropping down and moving off screen very quickly.
A second group of witnesses was a family out driving around looking at Christmas lights. The report from these witnesses describes, "I looked up to the northeast over my house and saw a very bright red globe hovering in the distance. Expecting it to be a helicopter, I realized it was not flashing and was not quite the right shade of red. I pointed this out to my family and they watched it with me." He says the object was not moving and he found it disturbing that the object also made no sound.
They also witnessed a second object fall from the first. He wrote, "A secondary object dropped from the main one, slowly going down, leaving a small trail. As it headed down, it sped up in its descent out of sight. After that, the main object literally just disappeared."
The third set of witnesses was a stay-at-home mom with her 2 children. She says she went out to have a smoke when she spotted the UFO. She then called for her kids to come and take a look also. She said she saw a bright red light slowly moving to the east. She also says she saw a smaller object drop from the first. She says it moved down and then dropped faster out of sight.
But this witness says she saw something else that was odd. According to the MUFON investigator, she said that there was a black plane and it had 2 big yellowish white lights like searchlights and was moving slowly in the same area. She told the investigator that she was adamant that she and her children had seen a UFO.
The MUFON investigator for the case was Charles Stansberg. He could not explain what the witnesses might have seen, even after making inquiries to local authorities. He wrote, "I called Mountain Home Air Force Base and Gowan Army Air National Guard, and both claim all aircraft were on the ground and no flights at all went up. I also checked with the Ada County SO and the Boise PD, and no calls were made about any odd appearances in the sky."
The case was closed as an unknown UAV. In MUFON terms, that's a UFO.
An airline passenger allegedly recorded video of a UFO through the plane's window.
The plane and the UFO were reportedly flying over Liverpool, England. The roughly 2-minute video shows the mysterious bright UFO in the clouds flying along the same trajectory as the plane. Although the UFO initially looks like an ordinary aircraft in the distance, it later makes an incredibly sudden descent.
The speed at which the object changes its flight path and descends rules out known aircraft. Some believe the object is simply a bird, but birds generally don't fly at 400 miles per hour like a commercial airliner.
It's unclear who shot the video, and it's also unclear why this video recently made the rounds in the media, because this video first surfaced back in 2012. Unfortunately, there are red flags indicating that this video is nothing more than a hoax. The first indication that the video is a creation is the camera person's lack of response and failure to move the camera at all when the UFO displays its most incredible behavior. But the most damning evidence is the video's apparent source, the YouTube channel 07 TV, belonging to a group called Audio World Color. This channel posts CGI videos of incredible things like dragons, mermaids, and even a landed UFO.
The only real information this channel provides with its video is video agency of Audio Color World own all distribution rights of the uploaded videos on our YouTube channel. If you like to use videos for uploads or commercial use, please contact us, indicating that this channel is a for-profit venture.
It's incredibly unfortunate that many people fill the internet with fabricated UFO videos. It's also unfortunate that the media and the general public are so easily fooled by these creations. Genuine aerial objects that cannot be identified do fly in our skies, but rarely do the genuine UFOs receive the attention they deserve. And perhaps that is partially because photos and videos of the truly mysterious objects are rarely as sexy as the fabrications.
There's been a lot of online buzz around photographs that one researcher has called a smoking gun when it comes to proof that aliens are visiting Earth. Even though there are many articles, blogs, interviews, and forum posts about the pictures, the public has yet to actually see them. They will be displayed during a special event hosted by Mexican broadcast journalist Jaime Maussan in Mexico City on May 5th, 2015.
Among the buzz is speculation of what the pictures show, questions to why they will be shown in Mexico, and questions as to how the pictures were found in the first place. The pictures are owned by a production company, and the owner of that production company, Adam Dew, is creating a documentary about the slides entitled Kodachrome. He says the trailer to Kodachrome shows everything they know to this point. However, as questions are answered, more arise.
I asked Dew how he got involved with the slides. He says he got involved with the slides around 2008. They were discovered by his friend's sister in 1998. She found a box of photographs while she was cleaning out a house to prepare it for an estate sale near Sedona, Arizona. Dew says she is a bit of a hoarder and just threw them in her garage. She finally looked at them in 2008.
She found around 400 pictures and found a couple of slides wrapped up and tucked underneath the others. Dew says she was able to project them and she thought they were very interesting.
Dew described what she saw. When most people see the slides firsthand, they think the slides look like what we think, what we have been conditioned to think an alien would look like. The woman and her brother brought the slides to Dew since he was in the video business, and Dew and his friend began investigating their origins.
Dew says the pictures were on Kodachrome slides and are not perfectly in focus. He says Kodachrome never responded well to poor lighting. However, he says he did find them very compelling.
Dew says their first task was to date the slides. He says, "We wanted to date the slides because we knew people might think they were hoaxed and staged. As we have covered in past stories about the slides, the film and its slide cover have been allegedly confirmed to be from the late 40s. To Dew, this proves that the film is not doctored."
Dew says the next step was to have someone look at the slides who had seen an alien body. This brought the two of them to the most respected researchers of Roswell UFO incident, Don Schmidt and Tom Carey. Schmidt and Carey were able to get Dew in touch with a man who claims he had seen alien bodies that were recovered at the alleged UFO crash in Roswell in 1947.
When shown the pictures, the witness says the body in the image did look like the bodies he saw in 1947. Dew says, "He said he saw fresh bodies, and our body looks like it has been preserved in some fashion."
Many have questioned the decision to unveil the slides at the event in Mexico City, but Dew says the event is justified in that there is enough there to showcase the slides in this fashion. There is enough interesting material, there is enough supporting material, and there are enough people willing to go on the record.
He continues, "In my mind, Mexico City, US, or wherever, maybe I am being naive, but I think the slides will stand on their own no matter where they are presented. Jaime had this vision for this big event, and it sounds exciting to me. It sounds fun and interesting, and it is a big stage. No one in the US would have been able to present a stage like this. In some ways, it gives it an international feel."
Dew is becoming used to people criticizing his approach. He says he has been surprised by the name-calling and anger by some of the people interested in this topic. Some aren't satisfied with the investigation. He says people are asking for science, but these are photos. There is only so much science you can get out of photos.
Some believe the strange creature depicted in the slides is simply a mummified child on display in a museum, but Dew says he looked into this possibility himself and he ruled it out. He says, "To me it is obviously not the same thing, but maybe that's just me."
Dew says he is just trying to get people to look at them with an open mindset. If someone with a science background is going to say this, we want to know why. Dew insists that he and his friends are not hoaxers. And in the end, he says, the slides clearly have captured people's attention and people's interest. And I think it is just a matter of figuring out what they are.
A drone flying near California's Silicon Valley captured video of a UFO shooting across the sky at incredible speed.
It's unclear when the video was recorded, but the operator of the DJI Inspire 1 drone uploaded the 4-second UFO video to the video sharing site Vimeo on the night of Thursday, March 5th. The drone was reportedly flying at an altitude of 265 feet when the unidentified aerial object whizzed through the sky.
The DJI Inspire 1 drone is equipped with a 4K camera, and fortunately the drone operator uploaded the video in its full 4K quality. But despite the video's 4K resolution, little detail is visible because the UFO moves so rapidly.
Assuming the object isn't purely CGI, it definitely appears to be going at a fair speed, says Australian news website news.com.au. One YouTube user estimated the distance traveled as around 1 mile every 1 to 2 seconds. That would give it a speed of around 2,890 kilometers per hour, roughly 2.4 times the speed of sound.
Mysterious Universe points out that at that speed the UFO would have created a sonic boom, but no sound was reported to have been made by the UFO.
After uploading the UFO video, the drone pilot sought help identifying the mysterious object on the DJI website's forum posting. I have no idea what this is, maybe a bug, hummingbird, reflection, or alien spacecraft. The only thing I know for sure is that I did nothing that would cause this. You can analyze it better if you download the video in 4K and go frame by frame. Any other ideas of what it might be?
It's difficult to determine if this object is something small close to the camera or something large far away from the camera. Some have suggested a bug, a bird, a bullet, a secret military aircraft, or even a new drone courtesy of Google or some other Silicon Valley tech giant.
The drone pilot seems to be genuinely interested in figuring out what was captured on video. The owner of the video states, "I thought it went behind the trees also, but after closer inspection, I've determined that I can't really tell. I can tell you that it was 265 feet high, plus or minus 3 feet at the time. I'm still leaning toward a hummingbird or a bug."
If the object was in fact traveling at 2.4 times the speed of sound, that's one insanely fast hummingbird. These birds average a flight speed of 30 miles per hour, just a little slower than the estimated 1,800 miles per hour of the UFO.
I mean, I personally think that most likely it was an object very close to the drone's camera, possibly a bug. I'm going to agree with him on that.
Well, the speed is difficult to determine because
Right.
you have to determine distances, and if you don't know how far the object is from the camera, you can't really determine that. So I've seen online where MUFON's kind of been debating it. A local California researcher feels that it's probably CGI because he sees some dropouts. However, Mark D'Antonio, the photo analyst, and a couple others are pretty certain that it's a bug that is close to the camera. That seems to fit. So to me, that's kind of like where I'm leaning.
And obviously that's where I said I'm at, but I think it doesn't seem like a CGI hoax to me because the guy is approaching it in a way where he feels it's a bug too, and he just asked for people to give a closer look, and could it be anything else? And I think that's basically the moral of the story.
It's a really cool video.
Yeah.
And it's fun to get a UFO video from a drone, and this probably won't be the last time.
I'm impressed that he posted it at 4K too. That's
really cool.
Yeah. Well, anyways, a recent video shows a UFO flying behind news anchors during a live broadcast. The video caught the attention of several major media outlets, including the Huffington Post. Jason McClellan has more on this story.
A UFO flew along the skyline in Buenos Aires, Argentina during a live broadcast on February 28th on the Argentine news cable channel Todo Noticias, or TN. YouTube user JMHZ71 uploaded video of the moment during this newscast when the disc-shaped UFO was seen moving from left to right across the skyline behind the anchors. Huffington Post journalist Lee Speigel immediately began looking into this video.
As the story goes, apparently on or about February 28th, final day of the month, during a live broadcast, it was called the noon broadcast of Todo Noticias, that's the cable news channel of Argentina. During the broadcast, they have a news anchor desk, and the way it's set up is they can have 3 different news anchors sitting there at the desk at the same time delivering the news. And it's not just a wall behind them, but it's apparently a window that looks out onto Buenos Aires. Because I got comments from people who read my story who said that who lived there, and they said that they actually, when they drive by the building where TN is, the Todo Noticias, they can see inside the windows, and they can sometimes see people there. So it's a real thing. It's not just a backdrop that's set up with a computer. They can look into it and look out, or the people inside the studio can look out. So they were delivering the news. It was a little after 12 noon, on that day, and according to the first story that came out during the broadcast, something appeared from camera left and went rapidly across the sky to camera right until it went out of, just kind of went out of the frame, and it looked exactly like a classic flying saucer, and it wasn't very clear, but it was moving at a faster clip than a drone might, or definitely a blimp might. It was just moving straight across the sky, and because the news anchors weren't looking out the window, they were looking at the cameras, they wouldn't have noticed it. And you would think that whoever was operating the cameras or someone in the control room might have said, "Hey, what's that? What's that thing that's moving across the sky?" But that didn't happen either. And so that was it. And the story was posted and came out about a day or two later, March 1st or March 2nd, and that's where I first heard about it. And I thought that, well, it was an interesting looking video, if it's real. So I wanted to post it.
Speigel showed this UFO video to Ben Hansen, former lead investigator of Sci-Fi's Fact or Faked Paranormal Files, to get his expert opinion.
At first thought this was actually quite a really good video, because there wasn't something, you know, overtly telling me that that this has been CGI'd, but they kind of threw the flag out themselves when they zoomed in. So whoever posted this posted an edit, right? Probably the guy who even originally posted the hoax. But as they're zooming in on it, the first thing I noticed was that I look for pixelations, and I look for if someone's trying to do a composite or a layering, when that object goes behind another object. In animation, we call this like rotoscoping. We basically have to tell the flagpole or the antenna or the building, and we make an outline around it, and we say, okay, I'm going to have my layer, my animation pass behind you. Okay, so we have to go in there very detailed and highlight that area that we want to create a new layer. So what I noticed was when they zoomed in and we're looking at what looks like an antenna, it has these guy wires coming off of it. Okay, well, I know quite a bit about antennas. I'm a radio operator and everything, and if you're looking at a big antenna that's on top of a building, generally, no matter how tall it is, you're having guy wires come off the side. And even though it might be a really tall antenna, those guy wires and where they meet the antenna is a very narrow space. And so here we're led to believe we have a pretty sizable UFO, and that it's going behind the antenna, but then it pauses. If you pause it right, I think it's a 32-second mark or something, it looks like it's superimposed over the guy wires itself. Okay? So not only is it superimposed, but it also has sort of a sphere around it of erasure. Okay? So that tells me, well, somebody got in there with their cutout animation, and they just didn't want to take the time. They were too sloppy to individually rotoscope and outline each little guy wire and say, when I pass through here, go behind these as well. Because you could see they're already degraded, they're faded. It's really hard to get into the detail and tell that UFO to pass behind the guy wires also. It's much easier just to have it fly along and then erase things as it goes along. And so that was my first clue. And then if you look also when it passes behind the main building, there's a point where I think they just kind of got lazy and like, we don't want to deal with edges or feathering. And so we're just going to have a hard point where it's going to disappear behind the building, but it happened prematurely. It's like it goes into its own portal and then just gets sucked up before it actually reaches the building. So those were my first clues. And then if you look at the news itself, we've seen this a lot with stories that allegedly have come out of Japan, Russia. They will make a public announcement, supposedly this was on Russian news, and they'll do up a fake press release. And so this is a big trend with hoaxers, but we actually go to the real original source. We realize, well, no one in Russia was talking about this. In this case, nobody in Argentina from the news station where it allegedly happened was talking about this. It wasn't on their channel, it wasn't on their website. So that led me to believe if they'd heard about it, they probably went back and looked at the tape and they compared the original and said, nope, no UFO in the original, so this is a hoax.
Although these issues highlighted by Hansen are pretty damning, TN posted a story on its website on Friday, March 6th, confirming the alleged Argentina UFO video was a hoax.
I got an email from someone else who said, hey, there's news coming out of Argentina from Todo Noticias saying that they finally, after a week of being quiet, they've published their own story about this UFO, and they've included their own unedited original broadcast tape from February 28th that shows the exact moment, because on the screen there was always like a running clock so viewers could see what time it was, so that you could see that at the exact moment when the UFO supposedly originally appeared, there was nothing there.
TN explains, the truth is that the video was edited and the UFO was added digitally. Here we show you the original video, without editing, with the full minute from 12:24, the moment in which someone wanted to fabricate a UFO on the air at Todo Noticias.
The Argentinian news station comes out with their statement, and exactly what I said. They compared the videos, found it wasn't there, declared it a hoax. So pretty much case closed, but it's fun. It's fun to look at this stuff. I just think it's unfortunate that that people are trying to take somewhat legitimate sources like news and bring them in on the hoax. I don't have evidence that the news station did this themselves, although they have been known to do things like this. We're talking about Latin America. They will do anything. Okay, not to get down on them so much, but news will do anything for ratings. Okay, they'll be dramatic. But Latin America especially, these are the same people that have like the dancing women, you know, come on during the commercial breaks, and they've got like the dance team doing their, you know, taking them out to commercial. That's what Latin news is like, and so I wouldn't put it past them either to do a UFO hoax.
It's unclear if YouTube user JMHC71 is the party responsible for adding a UFO to the original news footage, and it's rarely clear what the true motive is of those who create hoax UFO videos.
People were starting to write things like, why did you spend so much time? Why did you waste our time talking about something that was an obvious hoax from the beginning? What's wrong with you people? Don't you have anything better to do?
Although it's important to objectively analyze UFO videos and to point out when certain videos are likely hoaxes, some feel that this is a futile exercise. I asked Hansen to explain his thoughts on the issue.
The very reason we do it is because there are thousands, if not millions, of people out there who have an open mind, which is good. Maybe they've had their own experiences, which is good. But they'll jump on something like this as confirmational bias. So they'll say like, well, because I've seen this other thing, you know, in the sky before, then this also must be true. And they're filtering. It stops there. And they start having opinions about things without checking facts. So number one, that's why I do it. Just because one thing might be true doesn't mean it's all true. And secondly, I think people who are very critical, there's some jealousy there. You know, hey, if you're so good at picking this out, then help us. You do it. You do the debunking and do it before it gets to us and save me the time.
You have to understand that we're not wasting anybody's time, because for every one of you who think that we are wasting our time, and if you think that things are obviously a hoax, there will be someone else out there who thinks it's not a hoax. And they'll come up with their own reasons for believing that this is the real thing. So we have to try and cater to everyone and do the work of putting it all to rest, if we can explain a lot of things.
This isn't a contest. We're just all on the same page trying to figure this out, and if we can weed out the less legitimate, then what's left is really kind of the finer gold that we're looking for and has a higher probability of being true. So that's why we do it.
Frankly, I'd rather continue writing about these things and reporting it because there's always the chance in any one of these topics. They're all, you know, needle in a haystack kind of possibilities that we could hit pay dirt. And isn't that what this is all about?
That's all for this episode of Spacing Out. As always, remember to visit our website, openminds.tv, for all the latest UFO news, and you can follow us at Twitter at OpenMindsTV.
Let us know if you enjoyed today's episode by liking the episode on YouTube and leaving us your comments in the section below. You can also download our podcast, Open Minds UFO Radio, on iTunes or at openminds.tv/radio. Thanks again for joining us today. I'm Alejandro Rojas.
And I'm Maureen Elsberry. We will see you in the future.